Hi everyone, welcome to this short tutorial that provides an introduction to the EBSCO Business Source Premier Database. The EBSCO Business Source Premier Database is one of the leading business databases found in every major business school in the United States. It includes over 2,200 full-text business publications, nearly every top-tier academic journal in every business discipline, hundreds of full-text trade and industry publications, hundreds of full-text business magazines, as well as company reports providing SWOT analysis. The link to the Business Source Premier Database is found here at the home page of the library right here. You could also, if you want, go to this page of the A to Z databases and it'll be listed alphabetically. Let's go here and let's go into the database and I'll show you how it works. So what we could do here is a number of different things. One of you can do a keyword search here. There's a thesaurus. I'm going to show you first the publications link. Let's say you're looking for a journal, a specific journal, and you're wanting to see whether it's in the database and whether you can browse it or search that specifically. Click on Publications. And I'm going to type in here a publication. Let's go say Harvard Business Review. So Harvard Business Review. Click Browse or Enter. And you'll see the link right here. And it says full text from October 1st, 1922 to present. That means the entire run of Harvard Business Review since it was first published is in this database. Click on here. And you'll be brought to the page for Harvard Business Review. And what you can do, you can search within this publication if you want. So you'd be limiting your search just to Harvard Business Review, or you could browse. Over here you'll see the dates starting with 2019. If I scroll on the page very fast, it goes all the way back down to 1922. So you can pick, just to show you how this works, pick a year at random. Let's say 2017. There are 6 issues in 2017. Let's just pick this one here. And what we'll get all the articles that were published in that particular issue, the July-August 2017 issue, and there are the articles, and for each one there's an HTML version and a PDF. Now, a couple little pointers here as far as making good use of this database. If you go over to Page Options, click on this, and you can change it to detailed as opposed to standard. If you click on detailed, it'll give you a little bit more information on the search results about each article. Click on this, and it'll change that. And also what I like to do when I use this database is go to Page Options, and I also like to change the results per page. Rather than have to go from scroll page to page, you get 50 results per page. It makes it a little bit easier, I think, to work with. And so we can go down here, and these are all articles, are all full text in Harvard Business Review. And we could, as we're going through here, let's say, click on this little button here, and let's say you like, these are articles that I want to save. Click here, and click here. And what's happening is I click these little folders and they change color. I go up here and you see folder, click on here, and the articles that I chose are listed. And what I can do now is I can click on select. That'll select all 3. Or I could say, I'm having some second thoughts about this particular one, I could unclick that. So I've got 2 articles now. And what I can do is I can export them, I can save them as a file, I can email them, I can print them. Or what I can do is I can click on this little button here and sign into my EBSCO host account. And what this is a way of saving your research. So the very first time you click on that, it's going to prompt you to create an account. After you've created the account, every single time you use this database, you can then sign into your EBSCO host account and you can save your research. So this is really a great tool as far as managing the research that you do. So let's say on a Monday night, for example, you spend a half hour or an hour doing some research in this database, you save a dozen articles, and then you stop doing research, you save your research, and then you come back to it maybe on Thursday or Friday night, and you can resume what you had. So you can add and subtract from what you're saving in this database. So it's a really great tool for managing your research. So that's how you browse. So let me show you how to retrieve an article. I'm going to go back to New Search here. This is the original page. And so in here what I can do is many times there'll be maybe if you're doing a class assignment, maybe you're working with somebody else and one of your classmates gives you a citation to an article that they found in this database. You may want to retrieve that article from the database. Or maybe your professor gives you a citation to an article and says, this is a really good article that you may want to take a look at. You need to know how to retrieve that article from this database. Also, for the scavenger hunt assignment this week, you'll also have some questions as far as trying to find missing information for a citation. So let me show you how to retrieve an article. So I've got an example here called, it's an article called Reflections on CEO Compensation by a man named John Bogle, and it appeared in the Academy of Management Perspective. So relying on that information, I'm going to type in the title of the article, Reflections on CEO Compensation. And this is not case sensitive, so I can put it all in lowercase and it doesn't matter. And I'm going to see here, select a field. Now select a field. If I left it on select a field, what I'm telling the database is bring back every single article where these words appear either in the title of the article, in the title of the journal, the abstract, or one of the subject headings. I could, if I wanted to, however, click here, and there's a number of other options available to me. I can say that I want it to appear in the text, or I want it to appear in the title. In this case, I'm going to say I want an article which has Reflections on CEO Compensation in the title of the article. Then what I can do is, I know the author's last name is Bogle, so B-O-G-L-E, and I can go here, and I can say author, because that's the author's last name. I don't need to type in other information because this information is fairly unique. So let's click on search. And you can see down the page here, by the way, there's a number of other different options available. I could, if I was doing a literature search, I could limit by date, I could limit by full text or scholarly. I'll go into this a little bit later, but these are other options available for doing research. So click on search, and there is the article. So what do I see here? I see this is the title of the article. This is the author, John C. Bogle. It appeared and it was published in the Academy of Management Perspectives. That's a magazine or academic journal, actually. And it was published in the May 2008 issue, volume 22, issue number 2. It appeared on pages 21 through 25. It was 5 pages long, one chart, one graph, and this is the abstract. The abstract is a brief summary about what the articles covers. These are subject headings. This is very important to know about subject headings. This database is a big database. There are millions and millions of articles in this database, and every single article is tagged with subject headings. And subject headings basically describe what the content is in that article. So in this article, this covers compensation, executive compensation. It deals with unreasonable compensation. These are very important terms that will help you understand what this article is about. So that's how you would retrieve an article. And if I was looking for missing information, I'd be able to find it by looking at the citation here for your scavenger hunt. So let me show you another few searches here. So let's go back to new search. And I'm going to try a keyword search. I'm going to say I'm doing some research on health insurance and bankruptcy. So I can type in health insurance. And what I'm doing now is what they call a keyword search. So I'm typing in these keywords, and I'm typing in bankruptcy. So this is the topic of my paper. And what I can do, and I have some options available to me, is I can say, well, I want these words to appear either in the title, the abstract, the title of the article, the title of the journal, the abstract, the subject heading. The same thing with this. Or I could say, gee, you know, I want it to appear in the title of the article, or I want to appear just in the abstract. I mean, I have a number of options available to me. And usually the best way of doing research is you've got to try it a number of different ways. But in this case, I can say health insurance and bankruptcy and click on search. And I could have put on other limitations also there as far as date, but I'm going to start rather broad here. And so I've got 1,478 articles, and these are articles where health insurance and bankruptcy appear either in the title here, or the abstract, one of the subject headings, or the title of the journal. And now 1,478, I think, is too many articles to work through. So what I could do is over here on the left-hand side, I've got some options available to me. I could say, well, why don't I just limit it to full text? One thing to understand about this database is about 80% of the articles in this database are full text. The other 20% just provide a citation and an abstract, not the full text. You'll notice here, for example, this first article, there's no this one here is HTML and PDF, so I know this is full text because of these two links. This doesn't have that, so that means this is not available full text in the database. It is a judgment call on your part whether when you run the search you want to limit it just to full text. I oftentimes don't because I want to see everything that's been published. And if you do see something that is not full text in this database, you can send me an email by way of the reference desk at the library, and I will try to retrieve it for you from another library. I would say on average about 90-95% of the time I'm successful. No guarantees, but usually I can get it for you. So that's one option available to you if you don't want to limit just to full text here. But let's say just as far as cutting that 1,478 down a little bit, let's just see how we can filter that down to a smaller number. So full text, we'll cut it from 1,478 down to 809. So we've cut the results to 809. If I wanted to, now take a look at the date range here. So these 809 articles cover the period from 1903 to 2019. So that's a pretty wide range. And let's say I want articles a little bit more contemporary. So what I can do is I can type in another year here if I want, or I can take this little bar and drag it across and bring it up to say 2000. Let's say about 2011. Let's see what happens. And it cuts that 809 down to 242. So that's a more manageable number to work with. So these are full text. They were published 2011 to 2019. I could, if I wanted to, also limit it just to scholarly. Scholarly publications are academic journals which are oftentimes written by academics, that is college professors. They are research. So you will at times throughout your college career at NECB be told by a faculty member that I want to see scholarly sources for your discussion posting or for a paper that you're writing. In that case, what you can do is you can click on this little button here, and what it'll do is it'll filter the results to include only articles that are from scholarly journals. So if I click on this, let's see what happens to that 242. It's going to cut it down to 34. So we'll get 34 articles now that are full text. They were published between 2011 to 2019 and that are scholarly. And so what I can do is go down through these, and just like I showed you before with the Harvard Business Review example, I can click on these various folders here, and it'll put them up here on the top. And by way of this link, I can save them, I can print them, I can save them to my EBSCO host account, I can email them, whatever I want to do. So there's a number of different options. So this is doing a keyword search, this health insurance and bankruptcy. Let me show you another way of doing research, and this is by way of the thesaurus. Now, a thesaurus in a library database contains all of the subject terms used by the database, and it is searchable. Sometimes a source of frustration for students is that the subject headings used by the database, I'm going to actually close out of this here. I want to go in here. Sometimes a source of frustration for students is that the subject headings used by the database are different from what you would have chosen. For example, you may say that you want to use the subject heading cruise lines. That's what you have in your head. This is I'm looking for the subject cruise lines. When you go into the thesaurus, you will find that cruise lines is not a subject term used by the database, but rather cruise industry. Let me show you this here. So you're going to browse the business thesaurus and look for subject terms. So if you type in cruise lines and you say, I want a subject term that has cruise lines. Click on this, and you're going to get this. It's going to say cruise lines use cruise industry. So that's the subject term that this database uses in place of cruise lines. So you've got to use the vocabulary the database uses. Another example would be, let's say, tax regulations. You're taking an accounting course, and you're doing some paper on tax regulations, and you click Browse. And once again, tax regulations is not the subject term that the database uses. Instead, it uses tax laws. So when you do research on tax regulations, you have to use the word tax laws. And what you can do is just click on this here, and then click on this here, and what you'll get is you'll get a scope note. This is called a scope note. Scope note is simply how the database defines what it means by tax laws. And you'll see also, it's very helpful as far as identifying alternative terms. You'll usually see these broader terms, narrower terms, or related terms, and all of these are suggestions for alternative terms that you can use. This is actually a really great way of identifying additional search terms. Because sometimes I've gone in here and there are certain terms that I hadn't even considered. But if using the thesaurus, let me show you how to use this. So let's try electronic banking, and I hit browse. And so the database doesn't use the term electronic banking; it uses online banking. So I'm going to click on this here, and I'm going to click on this here, and I'm going to take this, and I'm going to put this and make this and then I'm going to hit add, and it's going to pop it up here. Okay, so if I left it as is and I hit search, it's going to bring back every single article in this big database which is tagged with the subject heading online banking. That means online banking will play a very prominent role in the topic covered by every article in the search results. But what I want to do is I want to narrow it a little bit more. So let me say not just online banking, let's also combine that with real estate. And hit enter. And once again, real estate is not a subject term used by this database, but rather real property. So click on here, click here, Now here's a scope note describing how they define real property. I'm going to click here. I'm going to click Add. And it's going to now, when I hit search, it's going to run a search that's online banking and real property. And then I'm going to go down here. And there are my results. Okay? And here's another, let me just show you another example here so you can make sure you're familiar with how this works. Let's try again. I used originally health insurance when I did the keyword search a minute or so back. And let's try this and see if there's a subject term for health insurance. And click on this here. And yes, health insurance is a subject term used by the database. So I'm going to click on this, click on, I'm going to change this to and because I want to combine health insurance with bankruptcy. Okay, so let's see if bankruptcy is a subject term. Hit enter and click on this. Yes, bankruptcy is a subject term. So this is a scope note saying how to define it. There's alternative terms if I wanted to pursue that, but let's just say bankruptcy. Click that, hit add, and now I'm going to be running a search and asking the database to bring back only articles that are tagged with subject headings of health insurance and bankruptcy. Click on search, and there are my results. 78. If you recall correctly, when I did the keyword search earlier on health insurance and bankruptcy, there were over 1,400 articles initially that I filtered it down. Here, there are only 78 articles that are tagged with subject headings. So you can see there are two different ways in which you can go about using this database. One is you can do a keyword search like I showed you a few minutes ago, or you can use the thesaurus and do it by way of subject terms. So there are a couple of options available. So that concludes this brief tutorial that provides an introduction to EBSCO Business Source Premier. I'm going to be doing another one which is also an advanced one, which will follow after this. Thanks so much, and good luck with your research.